Sorry, I got a few things out there.
Mary Thorne, distinguished guest, you indeed honor me, for which I must gratefully acknowledge the interest, efforts, and time of Roland Ellingson and Ms. Laura Golden, among others, I'm sure. Let me give you a little prelogue that's not scripted. I make reference to Churchill in my talk, and it's with good purpose. Churchill is, if he's remembered in this country at all, he's remembered as a great wartime leader, orator, certainly an author. But what's not remembered too well is that Churchill started out as a military man. As he said in his book, My Early Life, he was way too slow to get into places like Oxford or Cambridge and ended up at Sandhurst. And he graduated from Sandhurst, was commissioned, and he saw action in the Northwest Territories, which is Afghanistan and Pakistani border. Same types of action that we're seeing today. He saw action with Kitchener in the reconquest of the Sudan. In fact, took a major lead, i.e. he was at the front of the charge of arguably the last great cavalry charge of history at the Battle of Omdurman in 1898, the same year that we were trundling off to begin to fight the splendid little war with Spain. So I refer to Churchill, yes, as a political leader, but I refer to him as a man that had a tremendous acumen for business, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. Just allow me a few minutes of your time to offer some observation on business leadership in today's seemingly non-stop, ever-changing environment. I emphasize leadership intentionally rather than the word management. The late Rear Admiral Grace Murray Hopper is affectionately known as the mother of COBOL, the high-level business programming language. Grace once observed, correctly to my mind, you manage things, you lead people. Admittedly, the observations I make today are drawn principally from military experience. Moreover, exposure within the federal bureaucracy and experience in the private sector have convinced me that whether leading men and women in war or in dire circumstances or competing in the business world, brilliant leadership offers well for success. Leadership is both simple and complex. Consequently, I will limit my remarks to certain facets of leadership that I believe you will find serve you well in the business world. Executive action premised on sound leadership may be criticized, even resented at the time that the decision is made, but later be seen as foresight and courage. And I ask you to keep that in mind. It has been remarked by Winston Churchill, no less, that there are very few things in military administration which a businessman of common sense and little imagination could not understand if he turned his attention to the subject. At the most simple level of warfare, consider two basic initiatives: the concentrated offensive against the enemy's weakest point, and the maneuver around the enemy's exposed flank. It does not take a fanciful imagination to see the equivalence of these two basic strategies in the world of competitive commerce. The forward offensive resembles direct, hard-to-hard price competition, while the flanking maneuver is analogous to overtaking your competition by operating or exploiting a new market. In commercial competition, as with a battlefield offensive, you win by fighting more efficiently and cheaply than your competition. You also win through innovation, through technological improvements over your competitors' product. So the world of commerce and business, like the world of warfare, requires a CEO, a commander, a boss, who has the ability to comprehend the whole scene in strategic terms. Such a person must also inspire confidence and energy among the workforce, whether a marching army or the employees of a company. The characteristics and method of what is called strategic insight are susceptible to study and examine. The business literature that I have an opportunity to see indicates that there is a renewed interest in what are called leadership principles and leadership traits. In the next few minutes, I'm going to briefly review these leadership traits and leadership principles, asking you to reflect on how they apply to each and every one of you as you go about leading your own business entities. Let me start off with leadership traits, and what I'm going to do, I'll keep it brief. I'm going to mention the trait and I will make a comment on it. If you desire to return to it at the question and answer, that's fine with me. The first trait that I would point out is observe justice in your organization. Giving rewards and taking corrective action according to the merits of the case in question. The ability to administer a system of rewards and corrective measures impartially and consistently. Number two, judgment. The ability to weigh facts and possible courses of action in order to make sound decisions. Decisiveness. The ability to make decisions promptly and to communicate them in a clear and effective manner. I can give you innumerable examples of somebody that makes a tremendously timely, brilliant decision, but is unable to communicate that so that it is executed. So decisiveness not only entails the ability to make a quick decision, but to communicate it so that it's carried out. Initiative. Taking action in the absence of guidance. Dependability. The certainty and self-confidence of properly and effectively performing all functions of you, the leader, your leadership position. Tact. The ability to create and maintain a harmonious work environment and to deal with others without creating hostility. Allow me a vignette that is told of Winston Churchill. The Second Battle of El Alamein, British forces captured General von Thoma of the Africa Corps. General von Thoma was Rommel's deputy. In other words, he was the number 2 man in the Africa Corps. This was a tremendous coup for the British, propaganda-wise and more as far as the morale of the Africa Corps went. Field Marshal Viscount Bernard Montgomery, then General Montgomery, very chivalrously invited General von Thoma, his recent captive, to dinner on the night that he had been captured. As you might imagine, there was an uproar in the British press. And when they finally got to Churchill as Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, what do you think of this collaboration and fraternization with the enemy? And Churchill, keep it in mind, tact here. Churchill said, "Ah, yes, poor Van Thoma, I too have dined with Montgomery." Integrity, uprightness of character, and soundness of moral principle, the quality of truthfulness and honesty. And my experience today, both in and out of uniform, is that those are not in abundance. Enthusiasm, the display of sincere interest and exuberance in the performance of your duty as the leader. Bearing, creating a favorable impression in carriage, appearance, and personal conduct at all times. And I can't emphasize this enough. I mean, we can go into all kinds of things. The Marine Corps is notorious, famous, infamous, whatever you want to call it, for a variety of things. But I would say that bearing, the ability to be able to put yourself up in front of men and women and have them look up to you because of the way you bear not only your position as the commanding officer, but as a human being. It's immensely important. And my experience in the private sector is it's equally, if not more so, important. Because in the private sector, you don't wear a uniform, you don't have something on your shoulder or something on your sleeve. Unselfishness, avoidance of providing for one's own comfort and personal advancement at the expense of others. Courage, the mental quality that recognizes the mental quality that recognizes fear of danger or criticism, but enables a leader to proceed in the face of it with calmness and firmness. Knowledge, understanding the science or the art of your profession. The range of one's information, including professional knowledge and understanding of your personnel. Loyalty, along with integrity. I put a great deal of stock in loyalty. The equality of faithfulness to your personnel, the organization, to the unit, and to one's seniors, subordinates, and peers. Remember, leadership is a two-way street. Loyalty up and loyalty down. Respect for one's superiors, care for one's personnel. Lastly, of the traits, endurance. And endurance, we come to mind, you have a Marine officer, a former Marine officer standing, you think, oh geez, they can march 35 miles with 50 pounds, 80 pounds, whatever. No, I'm not talking about that type of endurance. I'm talking about the mental and physical stamina measured by the ability to withstand adversity, fatigue, stress, and hardship. All of which you as businessmen and businesswomen encounter in the private sector. Again, let me go off script for a minute. Back in the 50s, there was a little thing that Harvard Business School made a big deal about. McNamara made it famous. It was called quantitative management. And from quantitative management flowed eventually systems analysis. McNamara was extremely successful as president of Ford Motor Company. When he was asked shortly before the Vietnam imbroglio took off, to come and head up the Pentagon by John F. Kennedy. He accepted the position, but he had made, in the interview with Kennedy, he made the point, he said, I use quantitative management, I use statistical analysis, and I don't have the slightest idea how cars are put together. But Ford Motor Company has made a lot of money and is very successful. My observation on Mr. McNamara, and I came up during that era as a young officer, is the fact that when he moved to the Pentagon, his lack of knowledge of what happens on the field of battle hindered him tremendously. And I would also make the personal observation that Mr. McNamara or Secretary McNamara's reluctance to come forward to President Johnson and say, this is screwed up, we need to get out, reflected on something that I mentioned earlier, and that's courage. Courage does not consist solely of running up and capturing that machine gun, probably in the face of certain death. I would argue, more importantly, moral courage takes a hell of a lot more guts. And I will make the strong statement, I think Secretary McNamara lacked moral courage. My point, quantitative management, systems analysis, statistical analysis, they're all very seductive. And they do have their place, both in the military and in the business community. But don't let them seduce you to the point that you don't observe the rules, principles, and traits of leadership. Because regardless of what the system is, it does not replace effective leadership. All right, let's talk about leadership principles. Again, I will mention them, make a few remarks about them, and then I'll conclude. Number one, know yourself and seek self-improvement. Evaluate yourself by using the leadership traits that I've just mentioned. And be able to determine your own strengths and weaknesses. Something that I don't encounter very often. Be technically and tactically proficient. A good leader is a person who knows their job thoroughly and possesses a wide field of knowledge. Before you can lead, you must be able to do the job. Tactical and technical competence can be learned from books, from further study, and from on-the-job training. Never allow yourself to not take advantage of that fellow that's digging the ditch, as well as the Harvard Business Management PhD. Know your people and look out for their welfare. This is one of the most important of the leadership principles in my mind. A leader must make a conscientious effort to observe his men and women and to know how they react to different situations. Know your people. A leader who is nervous and lacks self-confidence should never be put in a position where an important decision must be made. Knowing your people and looking out for their welfare will enable you as a leader to determine when close supervision is needed and when it is not needed. Both, very important. Keep your personnel informed. I alluded to that earlier. To promote efficiency and morale, a leader should ensure all personnel in his unit are informed of all happenings and give reasons why things are to be done. Informing your personnel of the situation makes them feel that they are part of the team. and not just a cog in a wheel. The key to giving out information is to be sure that your men and women have enough information to do their job. Do that job intelligently and inspire them to their own initiative, enthusiasm, and loyalty, and to develop within them their own convictions. Set the example. A leader who shows professional competence, courage, and integrity sets high personal standards for himself before rightfully demanding it from others. Your appearance, attitude, physical fitness, and personal example are all in display daily for the subordinates in your organization. Bear in mind, your personnel reflect your image. Again, I speak from personal experience. The attitude, the spirit, the capability of the unit is a reflection of those qualities in the leader. Ensure that the task is understood, supervised, and accomplished. Leaders must give clear, concise direction and guidance that cannot be misunderstood. And then, by close supervision, ensure that these are properly executed. Before you can expect your personnel to perform, they must know what is expected of them. The most important part of the principle is the accomplishment of what you have set out to do as the leader of the organization. Train your personnel as a team. Teamwork is the key to successful operations. Teamwork is essential from the smallest entity to the entire organization. As a leader, you must insist upon teamwork from all of your personnel. Train, play, and operate together. Operate, play, and train as a team. Be sure that each individual knows his and her position and responsibilities within the team framework. Make sound and timely decisions. The leader must be able to rapidly estimate a situation, make a sound decision based on that estimation. Hesitation or a reluctance to make a decision leads subordinates to lose confidence in your abilities as a leader, and loss of confidence in turn creates confusion and hesitation. Again, I speak from experience. Develop a sense of responsibility among your subordinates. Groom your subordinates as though you want them someday to do what you are doing today. Give them the opportunity for professional development. Assigning tasks and delegating authority promotes mutual confidence and respect between leader and subordinates. When you properly delegate authority, you demonstrate faith in your personnel, increase your own authority, and increase your men and women's desire for greater responsibilities. Employ your unit within its capabilities. Extreme example. I'm not going to send an airborne unit to do an amphibious operation. Take a look at your organization, take a look at what you can do, what you think you can do, what's available, and take what your organization is capable of doing. A leader must have a thorough knowledge of the tactical and technical capabilities of his organization. Successful completion of a task demands upon how well you know your organization's capabilities. If the task assigned is one that your organization has not been prepared for, failure is likely to occur. Failures lower your organization's morale and organizational self-confidence. and self-esteem. Seek out challenging tasks for your organization, but be sure that your organization is prepared for and has the ability to successfully complete the task. Seek responsibilities and take responsibility. For professional development, you must actively seek out challenging assignments. You must use initiative and sound judgment when trying to accomplish jobs that are required by your position as a leader. Seeking responsibility also means that you take responsibility for your own actions. Again, a commodity not in abundance in the marketplace today. Regardless of the actions of your subordinates, ultimately the responsibility for decisions and their application must fall to you. I've just given you a quick summation of leadership traits and principles. I have quite successfully adapted and applied these traits and principles over a rather lengthy, diverse, and adventurous career, in and out of uniform. I use them to this day. In closing, permit me to once again quote Sir Winston Churchill. It is indispensable that persons near the heads of very large organizations should not be smothered by detail or consume themselves in the ordinary day-to-day business, but that they should have opportunity and freedom to take wide and general views and to search resolutely and anxiously amid the incidents of business for the dominant truths. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe just a couple, we gotta wrap up, so we have any quick questions? Anyone out there? All right. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.